Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
To Is It Crazy?
Or Is It God?
There it is, man. What's up, man?
We didn't even practice that.
No, we didn't. Yeah, that's what it is, man.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, so I'm going to ask you this. Always, I do ask you this first.
Yes.
I have to remind everybody, yes, we are husband and wife.
Yes.
You still have to... I still like asking how our week was because...
Oh, yeah, that's true. I was like, who's asking?
Okay. Even though we lived with each other and we work from home with each other, we're always around each other. It's just good to know, you know? And it's good for you guys.
It is. It is. Just to give you guys a background.
Yeah.
But, it's funny. I don't think I necessarily asked you how your week was, right? Because I'm experiencing it with you. So I never really asked. So it's good that we're doing this.
Yes. It's like therapy.
Yeah, it is kind of like therapy when we're reading and talking about it, for sure. How was my week?
Yes.
My week was great. I mean, even more so than I normally say, like, oh, my week was great. Sometimes I just say that because I don't want to be ungrateful. But this actual week was really good. And I feel like it's because of hope. I feel like it has to do with just understanding more about myself and knowing that I am where I am. I'm okay, right? There's no reason for me to be sort of trying to fast forward to wherever my desired destination is because I'm going to get there. I truly understand that I will, and this is just learning, and everything's fine, actually. So sometimes, I have these freak out moments where I'm like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then it's like, well, but you're okay though, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just because you see a vision of what you would appreciate levels being at, as far as, and when I'm talking about that, I'm just talking about a lot of things that we want in life, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but even though those are aspirations and goals, I'm still okay here. Sometimes I have to remind myself that, listen, that stuff you're still working on. You're not her yet, but you're working on that. You're getting there, right? You just got to be in today and enjoy today. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it could take away from, when you're just so focused on the future, it could take away from the joy and the gratitude that you could be experiencing present moment. So this week was so good. I'm working on a project with my sister. We got into that this week. That was so fun. I love working with my sister. It was a good work week. I felt God saved me a couple times this week. I just had a good mindset, and I was just in good spirits all week. And even through at least a couple tough days where I was worried about one of my family members, but everything's okay. And so it was a great week. I can say that this was a great week.
Okay.
How about you? How was your week?
It was good. So I always, and I'm going to continue to say this, and I'm learning things about myself, right? And about you and about God. And it's just interesting. It was a great week. So I'm learning, right? There is no, like Faith says, there is no balance, right? You're going to want to, you choose what you want and what you want to get out of life, right? That's a fact. Whatever you input, you get an output. Shout out to Myron Golden. So what I'm learning this week is I had a great week at my job, and I got up early 3 times and did my morning routine 3 times this week, which is more than I did last week. And this is why I think patience is a skill, because just like you said, you think that we're overwhelmed, and it's like you're not. God woke you up. It's okay. We just have to be patient to develop those habits to become who we want to be.
Yeah.
Who we are according to God's will.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's really true. Okay.
Yeah. So so that's what I'm trying to do, and I had a great week at work, And the highlight of my week, which kind of came out of nowhere, one of my good friends, Jamal, he'll be on here in the future one day. Right? And he had a birthday, went to the golf course, and it was just, at first I wasn't going to go. And then you were like, you should do it. And this is the funny thing, guys. This is how time is so fast. I looked at when the last time I took off of work. I was like, it's been like almost 4 months. I was like, man, wow, because I'm such in a routine.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna hang out and go golfing. And I've never been golfing. I've been a top golf like twice, I think. But I just played golf, man. I got out of my comfort zone. It was a great conversation. We connected. And it was about 5 or 6 of it. It was pretty cool, man. It was. I would definitely do it again. But that's what you need, right? Just to connect with some of your friends sometimes, and do something different.
Yeah.
You know, get out your comfort zone, guys. It was fun. It was nice, and it was you know. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do it every week, but it's something I might consider in the future doing it more. So it was nice, you know. You. Listen, you're gonna get some steps in. So
yeah, you got you got your rings closed
got my
that
ring
day.
Closed, man. So it was nice, and then I just learned that my goal is to be more consistent in faith, right, and patience, and in getting out of my comfort zone. That's what I'm trying to do, and more habits that I want to develop. That's what it's going to lead to. So it's interesting that I'm trying to do all this while not feeling overwhelmed. So
yeah,
it's a interesting thing. So some good things that I learned, and I'm just going to continue to learn more.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's it. All right. So guess what, guys? We read
Exodus 30 through 40.
Yes.
That's what we read this week. Exodus 30 through Exodus 40. And 40. Actually Exodus 40 ends Exodus.
Yep.
So we don't even look ahead most of the time.
No.
We don't look ahead. We're just like, oh, okay, these are the ones we're reading this week. And we notice right towards the end there, like, oh, this is the end of Exodus. Yeah. So we're moving right through. We're learning a lot.
3 books done.
Is it 3?
Yeah, Genesis, Job,
and Exodus.
Yeah, here we go.
Wow. 3 out of 66.
Here we go. Right. Okay, so Exodus 30 to 32. It was the tabernacle instructions continued, the Sabbath instructions, and something that this is going to be funny. The golden calf idol. So this is gonna be a really good topic. Actually, this is gonna be really good. So here's the question. Once again, shout out to Teach Sunday School.
Yeah, teachsundayschool.com, which is where we get our Bible reading plan. We also have a Bible checklist, and they have all these neat printouts, right? So this is our Bible reading plan by week, but we also have there's one on one sheet, and then you can get bundles on there. So there's all of these just helpful tools and charts, and they even have a breakdown of the characters in the Bible, the people in the Bible. I don't like to say characters, but that's what it's titled, because I know these are actual people who lived. So I mean, I guess I'm a character, but yeah, so I don't, the other one is not right next to me, but we have a lot of printouts that help us just navigate through. And when we have questions like, wait, what just happened there? Or, you know, where were they? Or who was that? Right. And we're looking at our Bible and we're like a little confused. We use our tools, and we use our study Bible, and we had just recently pulled out this Bible dictionary. We use our study Bibles, and we use our tools that we downloaded from teachsundayschool.com. Yep. Occasionally, too, we will look things up on the internet. You know, I'm just so leery to suggest that because you have the source right here. Like, why, if you need something broken down, I just personally believe that it's best that you find a brand of products that are resourceful, right? So you don't want to just get used to looking things up on the internet and believing the first thing that comes up, or
So like this, like for instance, you got questions.
Right. Holman is a great source of Bible products. They make Bibles, they make concordances, they make this dictionary.
Yeah.
So I trust Holman, and especially because, sorry, this is kind of more on research, but when you start to see the same information just over and over again, it's more likely that it's true. So when we're looking it up, like let's say we start out with the King James version of a verse and we really don't know what that means, right? Like, forthwith thou art, you know what I mean? And we're like, what? And then we might look it up in an easy to read version or English Standard Version or the Amplified version, which I really appreciate. And then we might even want to break it down more and be like, but who was that? Or where was that? Or what does that word mean? And then we'll go to the study Bible, like the breakdowns that they have underneath the verses, or have this Bible dictionary, which is even more extensively explaining what words mean, who people are, who their parents were, and has illustrations. So anyway, want to give a shout out to them.
So yeah.
So sorry, that was long-winded.
I will do this though. Sometimes I'll Google like an onyx stone or acacia wood just to see what it looks like and stuff like that. All right, so now, and it says the golden calf idol. So let's talk about this, and then we'll answer some questions. So Moses goes up, right? Moses is talking to God. They're talking to each other. He's getting the instructions for the tabernacle. And it's a lot of things we discussed like last week that goes in the tabernacle. You got the burnt offering. You got let me break it down. I think it's
the seat,
the mercy seat.
There's so many details that we talked about in our last episode.
Yes,
how detailed God was in the instructions. Yes, please continue.
The Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat, the veil, the table, the shewbread, the candlestick, the incense altar, anointing oil, altar of burnt offering, and a brass laver. So all of those are key tabernacle pieces.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that.
And so Moses has these instructions and the Ten Commandments, and he's with God, and God is explaining it to him. And while he's gone, Aaron and people say, "Where's God? We need something to worship."
They didn't even really say it like that. They're just like, where's God? Or where's Moses? And
I feel like they were looking for something to worship.
Now you're going to make me go back and look exactly where it was. They were wilding.
Yeah, they were wilding out.
This is actually Exodus 32.
Yeah.
Now when the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, they gathered together before Aaron and said, "Come make us a god who will go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him."
Yeah.
What? So basically, I guess for their standards, he was gone too long, right? It's just like, where did this guy go? Even though he helped deliver us from slavery, like we follow him because we knew that he was connected with God
and delivered them from Pharaoh.
Okay, even though we've seen these great miracles and all of our complaints have been quenched with solutions, water from a rock, bread from
in the morning.
I mean, there's all of these things that they've witnessed, and it's still like, where is he? We don't know what's come of him. Like, we need a God to worship, and it's like, what? We joked last week about why God might have been so specific with these instructions, and we were like, oh, because they'll just start building a club. And that's kind of like what they did. Because when Moses came down, he said something about them dancing or something, and I was like, they actually built a club.
No, right. So they built Aaron, Moses' brother.
Oh my gosh, and he should have known better.
He should have. He grabbed all the gold and he built a golden calf, and they started worshiping it, and and giving burnt offerings to it. And God's like, hey.
God got mad.
Hey, like Moses.
God got mad and he was going to...
I think he was going to wipe it out.
He was going to wipe them out. Yeah. And then Moses pleaded with him saying, okay, God, please, these are your people. You brought them out of Egypt. Please save them. Please don't destroy them.
Don't get mad. Like, right?
Yeah. And then when Moses went back down the mountain,
he destroyed the tablets.
He got mad because I mean, we're made in the image of him. So he came back down the mountain and he heard the singing, and I guess I don't know if I made up the dancing part, but he heard singing because I guess the man who was with him, Joshua, right, his right hand man or whatever, he was like, do I hear sounds of battle or something like this, right? And they realized, no, these people are singing. These idiots are out here singing, worshiping a golden bull. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, how long has it been? At one point, they say he was up there for 40 days. So I think that was the next time he went up there was for 40. But I don't really know. Either way, it couldn't have been that long to be that you forgot that you witnessed these miracles. But the miracles that God did for them. But it's wild because that's all it takes is a little impatience for us humans, for us to just go off and get distracted by something then other than the last instruction we got from God.
And then let's go into a deeper dive that once again, not only the detailed instructions, but without guidance, and we're left to our own devices, look at what we do.
When we're left to our own devices,
you don't know what to do.
That just spoke to me on so many levels.
Crazy.
Because you know that's the thing. Stuff, I'll save that.
Like, why did I do that?
I'm going to remember you said that.
Yes, it's crazy.
Because I'm going to make a point
later. It's deeper. Now these sayings, leaving to your own devices and reading the Bible, you start connecting them on a deeper level.
Wow.
So think about that, right? This is why I'm reading the Bible, and this is why I want y'all to read the Bible to connect with us, because you're not crazy. Like, just think about this. This is going on. And God is talking to Moses. He's like, look at these guys. Did you look at them?
Look at these fools.
Look. I'm going to kill them all. Moses is like, no. Chill. Now watch this. Moses said, chill, God, please. He didn't say chill. Can't tell God to chill.
He can't tell God to chill. But I knew where you were coming from.
Yeah. I don't think he can. I think he said please.
Yeah.
I don't think he told God to chill. I would. So, I think him and God had that relationship where God was like, for you, Moses, I won't. Moses came down, got mad. Now, here's the thing. Because we've seen this throughout the Bible where God has a relationship with Moses, or I believe all of them, Jacob, Joseph. He has such a relationship where how do I want to put this? God has such a relationship where he'll say, okay, I will spare them because of you. Which is forgiveness. So back in this era, Moses pleaded with God, and God did not. He spared everybody on behalf of Moses. Mm-hmm. Now, Moses gave everybody an option. He said, if this was a mistake, it's okay. But if you believe in God that brought you from Egypt, come over here. If you don't, then you unfortunately you gotta go. So that's I'm gonna be honest, not to say God knows all, but it's good to see that God is becoming, which God already is, but it's just good to see the relationship that he has with Moses.
Wait, what did you just say? Not to say that God, what?
I don't, because God knows all, becomes all. I don't want to say God is getting uh softer, because it's just that from the God where Noah was there, and we've read parts where God would just kill people. There was no, but because Moses pleaded on behalf,
prayer works.
that God was like, okay. And it's just cool to see that.
Prayer works. Even
Cool.
Job had to pray for his buddies who were supposed to be comforting him and weren't, right? And that's how they were kept in God's good graces, because he made Job pray for them.
So yeah, it's just nice to see God.
I mean, prayer works.
Prayer works because we've read it where God has just taken people a lot out, taking them out.
Just take them out, because you know what? And
God knows all.
This. God knows all, so He knows when somebody's gonna do good or not.
Yeah.
Even in the instance of Pharaoh, who he ended up taking out, I think the point there, he knew he wasn't going to be changed, but he needed everybody else to see.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, look at this. Look at how this guy's going to act, and look at what's going to happen to him. Right? Yeah. So, I think prayer works. I think everything could be on the outs, but if you have somebody praying for you, or if you're praying also, or just, maybe you're not, but maybe somebody's praying for you, that can really be to your benefit.
Yeah.
God is merciful.
Could save you. So, but it's just great. It's very interesting. All right, let's get to these questions. Okay. All right, here we go. Why do you think ancient people were so driven to worship objects? I don't even think it's ancient people. I think people still do it to this day.
I concur.
And I think it's because when you have no guidance and no governance from God, and you're left to your own devices, you'll worship anything. Because you said this last night, because of what you see, you start to idolize it.
Yeah, I did make that point.
You did make that point last night, so got to it. I got it right before she did. But she gets all the credit, where maybe that's the word idol, from idolizing. So you'll see something that you want, something that a person that you desire, right? Desire to become, and you idolize that. And in fact, you should be worshiping God and being yourself. And you can be who you are destined to be. That's that person's path. But when you start idolizing them, or idolizing images, I need to have that Lamborghini. That's when you get into that worshiping objects. And I don't think it's ancient people. People still do it to this day.
Agreed. Yeah, I would say that too. The question is, why do you think ancient people were so driven to worship objects? That's so, listen, that's still happening. It's happened ever since, right? Because it's a shiny thing. I'll even go a step further to make an assertion that the less you are guided by God, the more you become like a human animal. Right? Like, and if you think about animals, and they're driven to shiny objects or light, you know what I mean? It's just what it is. You can distract a lion or a bear if you flash a light. It's just that they're just going with their makeup. They're going with their internal desire. You're not being governed by a set of morals or a set of guidelines or commandments, right? You're just out here when whatever's shiniest has your attention for that moment. So I think we're driven, and I'll go into the point that I was kind of hitting on last night, which is even in our current modern day, a lot of people are really happy to say, I don't say happy to say, because I don't want to I don't just come off as judgmental. But people want things to be backed by science. And really, science is just the study of what's happening, right? Who created everything that's happening? God. If you don't have faith, that's one thing, but you have faith in science, and that's just the study of everything that has happened, which was created by God. So, okay, it's cool to be interested in science and to study things, but it's kind of like an after effect of believing in God. And it's interesting to me because a lot of times people don't believe things unless they could see it, unless they could touch it, unless it's physical. So and we forget things, I mean, just from minute to minute, right? I have these moments in the day, and that's why I always have these timers around, right? And I'll have like, oh, okay, I got a 9 o'clock meeting, and then I got an 11 o'clock meeting, then I got a 1:30 meeting, and I got a 2 o'clock meeting. So I'll have a timer on in between, so I can just kind of like do my work in between, and then the timer will go off. Sometimes I'll have the timer go off 5 minutes before, so I can get water, go to the bathroom or whatever before, and the timer will go off 5 minutes before, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I have a few minutes, I'm just going to continue to do this. Next thing you know, it's 2 minutes after the meeting started because I forgot. We forget so many things. So I think that's one reason why we like these physical things, because we can touch them. They feel real to us. The term real is almost synonymous with tactile function, right? And this is why these certain emotions and things like love and things like that are so misunderstood or not understood, because you can't really touch it. You can't hold it in your hand. Love, faith, integrity, these are things that you know exist, but you can't hold it in your hand, so it's easy to not believe in it because you don't see it. And so we've gotten into this thing where we only believe it when we see it. And I think that's why people like physical things. And it's okay. I mean, I'm not saying that that's evil, right? Because I mean, even I'll have like a cross necklace or something, and certain things are like sentimental, like photos, and it reminds you of a thing that you love. It reminds you of God, perhaps, right? But we have to just keep in mind that a thing is a thing,
Yeah.
right? And it's not God. And depending on how much attention of yours that it gets, especially more so than we're giving to God, then we got to watch that for ourselves. I'm not even saying that as a statement to you. I'm saying it also as a reminder to myself.
Yes.
Because I think we all get caught up in that
yes.
idolatry
100%.
in certain ways, you know?
Yes.
And that kind of brings to the next question.
There it is.
Okay.
I mean, we kind of almost answered it, but what are some of the modern idols we worship? We were probably talking about that last night. And listen, guys, we're coming to you honest as possible.
Absolutely.
Reading the Bible and answering these questions, I can see how they worshipped it. It's like you sometimes, like you just said, you it's not that you forget, but you're like, oh man, you know, where is God? And you question, and then you idolizing something else, and you don't even realize it. This is why you have to stay constantly in your Bible. This is why you have to constantly pray. This is why you have to, I think, meditate, I think meditating and visualization is all connected to God, especially when you're doing it in silence, not science. In silence. That's my that's just my opinion. Can't say it's a fact, it's based on it, but I just believe when you're sitting in silence, you're thinking, you're connecting with God, especially when you're praying. But that's why it's important to do it, because if you're not in the Bible, constantly reading, constantly listening to it online, if you do that constantly, not constantly, but being a part of a community in church regularly, that's because if you don't, you find yourself worshiping idols, and everybody has done it. So don't just sit there and be like, I realized, I was like,
man, you brought up something earlier too that I'm gonna hit on. Go ahead though.
I have. So I mean, I already brought up some modern things. People like money, jewelry. People idolize people.
Yeah. Celebrities, politicians, people of power. Even they don't even have to be politicians. Yep. They could just be people who maybe have a lot of money.
Yep.
And you idolizing them, and you're like, oh, one day I'm gonna be like that.
Yeah.
And just, it's so interesting to think about idolatry and the word of idolatry, because sometimes we kind of back away from it, like, oh well, yeah, even though I've been to every Madonna concert. I don't worship her, right? But she might have a shrine of her in your house.
Exactly.
That's kind of like worshiping her,
Yes.
right?
And
or even Beyonce, right? And
yeah.
I listen. I am a Beyonce fan. I'm not part of the Beehive, but I'm a Beyonce fan, and that's one of the things when you get into somebody who you see greatness in, that like they're a champion, right? That's probably when it hits the most, when it's like, wow, this person has been able to do things that nobody's been able to do, or I have not witnessed anybody do. They're great, right? And it's like, yeah, it's easy to get caught up and say they're so amazing at this life, right?
Yeah.
They've been able to do something that you've never seen before. Meanwhile, God's doing things you've never seen before all the time. But I think I cut you off. I'm so sorry. Continue.
No, God, I'll piggyback over that. God is doing some amazing things in your life. You don't even notice it. You're idolizing somebody else. You're idolizing something else. So that's just a couple of the modern idols of worship, man. And just it's okay, but when you start realizing that you are doing it, you need to pray, read the Bible, ask for forgiveness. It happens.
And so let me give you a few instances. I think I already said some, but I'll say a couple of more that I was thinking of. Just kind of when we're talking about objects, but I want to take it a step further and say status, right? You're sort of coveting, or a status, being a certain place, or being called a certain thing, or having a certain amount of approval or worship from others, right? Maybe that sort of imagery of you being in a certain seat is something that you're worshiping or idolizing. And then I'll say this, because you brought up, and it's crazy how these words work, because you said when people are left to their own devices, the number one thing that we probably idolize and don't realize it is our devices. Right? And it kind of is, it's kind of sinking into me now, because it's anything that you kind of put before God, right? So like, I'll read the Bible tomorrow because I'm about to, scroll, or I need to get on a computer and do some work, right? Or I don't know. Wow. It's so many things. It's so many ways that can be taken. I'm not saying quit your job and become a monk or something like that, but I'm just saying there's all these things, or even fashion, or
Wow.
I think I'm looking at it like that right now, because I'm like, wow, it's kind of like anything that you would regularly put before time to worship God. Anything that's more important than that. And what you said, left to our own devices, it hit me so clear, because it's like our devices. Our devices. Ding, 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 ding. Like, we worship our devices. There have been times where I've cracked my screen and wanted to cry.
Oh my God.
Right? And it's like, what? It's a thing. You know what I mean? It can be replaced. It can be fixed.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world.
Cell phones, man.
But it's idolatry.
Yeah, it is.
Left to my own devices.
Yeah, man.
Oh gosh, you said a whole word there. So anyway.
I did. All right. So now Exodus 33 through 35. It says God is not going. The tent meeting. Right. So I think this is when Moses really meets with God again to get the tablets. Moses in God's glory. This is, I believe, when he sat for 40 days or 40 days and didn't eat. He fasted.
Yeah.
He got the new stone tablets, and Moses' face shines.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that he was spending so much time with God and learning. I mean, it's just immaculate that he's fasted for 40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah. It said he didn't eat or drink water.
Eat or drink water. He was with God. He was learning. I think he was just in a different space. He was with God, having God was giving him instructions, very detailed instructions, and he needed all the attention. Because you're
God
reading the instructions.
attention,
yeah. He needed all his attention. And
in order to listen to God.
Listen,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
And I think God was like, you these instructions are so detailed and thorough. I don't need you. To be honest, right? When you eat and take breaks, right? You have to use the bathroom. No, I think he was in a zone, and that's what God can do to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, here's the question: when Moses, his face was shown, he was different, so he had to put a veil on.
It was illuminated.
Yeah.
This is in Exodus
Yes.
34:29.
Yep.
When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand, he did not know that the skin of his face was shining.
Yeah.
Because he had been speaking with God.
Yeah, it was different. So they said he had to wear a veil.
Well,
eventually, right?
Yeah, later two verses down in 33. So Exodus 34:33. When Moses had finished speaking with him, he put a veil over his face. I was wondering what that was. Was it because he was trying to cover himself as not to be a distraction, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Or was it because he...
I think it was...
I mean, it could have been... I don't know.
I think maybe it was a distraction.
He finished speaking with them, he put a veil over his face.
Yeah.
Right, because then they're probably just looking at him. Can you imagine somebody's skin is illuminated and you're like, huh?
Like, you're not listening to
what they're saying. You're just like, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he did that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question I have. When Moses' face shone, do you think the people wished they had been able to experience that?
Perhaps. And maybe that's why he wore the veil. Maybe it was attracting some type of attention. I mean, I'm just speculating here because I didn't read anything about sort of like their reaction to it. They just noticed it.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he was taking off a veil when he was speaking to them and putting it back on when he was done.
Yeah.
Maybe it was this thing of, they're gonna covet his relationship. I mean, you can't covet a relationship with God. You can go ahead and have one. But I don't know what they thought, right? Do I think that they wanted to be able to experience that? See, here's something, and I'm going to spin this. This is horrible. But I would, based on the people and the reactions to people who are close to God nowadays, I would say no. Because for them to experience that, they would have to be as disciplined as Moses. They would then have to be willing to remember what Moses remembered. They would have to be willing to go up to that mountain and stay up there for 40 days and 40 nights with no water or food. So do they really want to experience that? Because that comes with some sacrifice.
That is a good point. You know what that reminds me of? I was watching something last week, and we all want, right? We all want it. We all want to be successful. We all want to be Michael Jordan when you play ball, or LeBron James, or rest in power, rest in peace, Kobe. Mm-hmm. You want to be the Shaqs. You want to be the Tom Brady's, the Patrick Mahomes, the Tyreek Hills, the T.O., the Chad Johnson, right? Shout out to running backs, Ricky Williams, Fred Taylor, Terrell Davis, right? So people want that, but there is a sacrifice and a cost. In the words, shout out to Shannon Sharp, there is no balance. So you want to get to that peak. You want your face shown, but you're willing to sit for 40 days and 40 nights and not eat, not sleep, not drink water, and just be there with God? Do you have that level of discipline and patience? A skill. Discipline, a skill. Consistency, a skill. Do you have that?
Right. You want the shine.
You want the shine.
Do you want the grind?
Do you want the grind?
Do you want the work that goes into that?
Yes.
And see, that's a really good point as to when we do aspire to want these status symbols or these sort of, I put it in quotation marks because they're air quotes, because the word security is also a fake word to me.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's like the word motivation,
Yeah.
the word safety, the word, some words just are not actual, like the meanings of them actually are not, or they're flat. They don't actually mean what you think they mean, right? So when I think of like security, it seems to me that we want these things. You say success, we want these things because they make us feel secure. They make us feel like we have reached a certain level. But really, all it equals out to is hard work, patience, and sacrifice. So if you really wanted it, right, you could have it. You would just have to do these things or be this person. And so it's one thing to want the shiny face, or like I said, you want the shine. But it's another thing, if I told you you could have it, all you had to do was all this hard work.
Yeah.
Do you want the shine now, or do you just want to skip along and get what you perceive to be the shine?
You want to microwave it, or you want to bake the cake? Because before the 40 days, Moses had to bring people out of Egypt. It's a lot to take to Moses to get to this point, right? So, do you want to do it, or that's a good point, you know? All right, so how would you feel if you saw a piece of God? We touched on this last night too. Before we even read the questions,
it's wild. We did not even see the questions. We should record
that. Oh, that's wild.
That was a nice
I don't think y'all ready for that.
Listen.
Yeah, it was a crazy conversation.
All right, let me remember what I said a little bit. But okay, so that brings me back to.
Remember we said that.
How would you?
Because he was at the mountain.
Yeah, I want to go back to the verse. It was 33:20.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Exodus 33:20, where God says, okay, so actually let's go back one before that. 33:19. Oh no, 33:18. Moses says, please show me your glory. And God said, this is 19, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before you. I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and show compassion to whom I will show compassion. But then 33:20 says, but he said, you cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live. That thing gave me chills when I read that. I was like, oh gosh. Right? I'm like, oh God, really? So when you say, the question is, how would you feel if you saw a piece of God? I actually think, this is my own theory, this is not anywhere that I've read in the Bible, but I don't think it's something that a human being could physically take. No. I just don't think that. I think we could see signs from God, and in this chapter, in this book, we see that they are saying that the cloud, right, represents God's presence. So when the cloud is over the tabernacle, we get that later, we know that God's presence is over the tabernacle. And even on the mountain, when Moses went up there and he was kind of speaking to a cloud, I think, and that was God's presence. But I actually think, I just had this thought. I don't know where it comes from. It's not based on anything other than the fact that what I know to be about the nervous system and how we operate, you can't see God. And then also spiritually, it just doesn't make sense mathematically and scientifically, I'll say, that you would be able to take that. And from a spiritual perspective, he says right here, no one will see my face and live. So that just means to me that when you see my face, that's it for you, right? It's over. You're already dead. Because then, not to say what's the point, but it's okay. I don't think the human body can take that. I think it's too much shock. I think it's too much. I would say it's almost like a spiritual seizure. It's just too much for our little bodies to undergo. Yeah. That's what I think. Yeah. Our bodies and minds, we can't even really get access to God. We have to go through the channel. So I think that, and then we do these things and we idolize and we build golden bulls. So we live in dirty in a sense. So it's like, I don't think that we could take it. So the answer to the question is, how would you feel if you saw a piece of God? I think I would die.
Yep. I've already confirmed it. I'm out.
You've already confirmed.
I'm out. I see God, I'm out. Where's Jay? You probably see me like, I'm out. I don't think that you're right. Listen, I remember last week I said I was faint. God is the being, the I am, the who's who, the creator, the legend, the myth. He's everything.
Yeah.
I'm out, guys. And all people saying, yeah, I wouldn't. You would sit there and look at God and come back to this earth? Yeah, okay. I think if you're able to see God, you've already ascended.
You've already ascended,
or
man. Hopefully,
or I just think so, because I think he's
I think it's that God. Much power, and it's like you're meeting your maker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I would say that's the point, but at that point, what's your need to come back to earth? Not even come back to earth, but what business do you have here?
Yeah.
Once you've met God, face to face. Once you've seen God's face, what you gonna come do now back here on earth? Like, you know what I mean?
Hey,
like,
I seen God.
Hey, I seen God. So you're gonna sound. Anyway, it's not about
people,
sounding wild,
but people are gonna be like,
and it's not about people either. Yeah. I just think that your business here is done then, right? Dude. You've met the creator of all of us.
You've met the creator,
What now? Like, do you have the remix Bible with you? Do you have a few tablets to share with some commandments for us? Like, I don't know. And Moses didn't see God's face.
No.
So I feel like that verse right there just lets you know, you cannot see my face, for no man shall see me and live, with an exclamation point.
Yeah.
So
and what do we always say? Go to the source. Yes. The Bible says, God says, hey, James, if you see me, you out. Yeah. What I'm gonna do? Be like, no. I'll be right back here. What? Yeah. I'm out, man.
Yeah, what are you coming back to? What are you going back to do? That's so funny to me.
See you on the hood. See you in the upper room. Let me stop.
Oh God!
I gotta watch life.
It's wild. All right, so what's the next part?
So here we go. Right, Exodus 36 to 38. All right, Moses assigns jobs. The curtains are made, and I'm watch this when we get to the question. I'm gonna let you go, because we were talking about this last night. The Ark of the Covenant is created, and the tabernacle detailed. So here's a question: what struck you as the most memorable in all these passages, and why?
Okay, so first I'm gonna take us on a little detour, real quick. It's gonna be quick though. It's funny how I forget what the term is, but it's kind of like having an out-of-body experience, because sometimes some of the verses in the Bible can get super repetitive, and we're just not built that way. I mean, we're living in the age of the internet and TikTok, and people only have 30 seconds to make up their minds about things. This is just how we're operating. So sometimes when you're reading, it can feel a little, I guess, redundant, but I think repetition is a great way to learn and to pick up on things, and sometimes there's details in between the lines. I only say that to say this. As I was reading it kind of sort of dawned on me that by reading this and being intently focused on it, even though it's saying some repetitive things, this is the act of learning patience, right? And it was so an out-of-body experience for me, because what we were reading was, first we read how the instructions, how God is giving the instructions for how the tabernacle is to be built, right? And it's a very detailed instruction. Then we're going over the tabernacle actually being built. So they're saying everything that we already heard about the loops and the rings of gold and the scarlet and the thread and the silver and the bronze and the seat and the veil, and we're seeing all this stuff again, and it's being so broken down. This many cubits and this many things and this many loops, and this is what you use, and right. So it was funny to me. The overall theme is that I'm sure it took them a long time to do that actual work, and certainly not longer than certainly much, much longer than it takes for me to read it. So if I'm just kind of over here in my own brain sort of complaining like, okay, when is this going to be over with? How long do you think it actually took them to follow God's instruction? So I kind of had a little spank on the hand moment, because I was like, don't be put off by this repetition, because there's something to learn here. And by you going through and reading every detail and being into the details, that's what's showing you how to be more patient, since we live in this era. And sometimes I'm all the way off on this tangent here, but I just gotta say this because it's funny. It goes to speak to a lot of stuff that we do, right? You get on the metro, if you've been on the metro before, and somebody's standing there in the middle, and you know how the rules are, right? If you're gonna stand, you need to be on the other side, right? And this is this fast lane for the walkers in the metro. Or just walking in the grocery store, and somebody's in the middle of the aisle checking out things really slow, and you're like, I'm trying to get out of here, right? And hopefully we all have respect for older people. But even when you run into a slow talker, right? It's like you just don't even have the value placed on the experience that you're getting from that person in order to slow down and be with them while they're speaking. And you just don't even know what you're missing out on. So that's what hit me as I was reading this. The best example I could come up with while I was thinking about it was, there's this writer who I really respect. And when he gets on, he's been on recently, and he was there during the election. His name is Bob Woodward. And he writes these books about presidents. But when he speaks so slowly by my standards. But I'm so shocked every time, because whatever thought he's getting out is so well said, and it's so, well thought out. And maybe the fact that he's speaking so slowly means that he's choosing his words wisely, that he's making sure that what he's saying is said with accuracy and with poise, so that you can understand. Sometimes when people pause for effect, right, you get what they're saying more. And I'm horrible about that, because I just talk so fast and I talk so loud, and probably a lot of the stuff that I say is probably missed because I'm just so focused on getting my thoughts out. But when I listen to somebody like a Bob Woodward, or even sometimes when I'm listening to our pastor, or maybe Stephen Furtick or TD Jakes, when they pause, it gives an effect so that you can really go back and absorb what they're saying. There is an art to speaking. And so it really, I'm all off on a tangent here, but one thing that stuck out to me overall was that this is so repetitive. It takes a lot of patience to sit here and reread what I already know is getting ready to happen. And when are we going to be done with this? And the idea that struck me while I was having that sort of weird, unfortunate, gratuitous moment is that, how do you think they felt as they are melding out this gold, as they're looping together this thread with no probably sewing machines and stuff that we have these days, right? They didn't have cranes and stuff like that, or so I don't think they did. They may have, but I don't think they did. They don't have electricity. They're burning lamps with oil. They're doing all of this stuff. Sorry, and I know I still haven't answered the question yet, but that's the overall theme that stuck out to me, is that patience. As long as it takes you to read this, it took them longer to do all of this work by hand. So slow your roll, Faith. That's the overall theme that I kind of got out of that. But go ahead. I'm going to let you talk now.
Okay. All right. So things that stood out to me is the next one I got.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. It's not on there.
Things that stood out
to you.
Right? Well, we talked about this last night, where God specifically picked people with their gifts, and they honed their gifts to build His tabernacle. And I like to the lesson I got from that, and why it stuck out for me is, why it struck out to me as we was having this conversation last night. And God gives all of us gifts and puts us in areas to succeed, whether we're willing to acknowledge it or not. And when you have your gift, use it. God has given this to you, use it. Now, here's the thing. It's going to be uncomfortable, because you might not know it yet. Or you might know it, and you have to learn a skill with it. And that's patience. Or if you have a skill, if you're really good with your hands, and you're a carpenter, you might build a church.
Mm.
Or you might give back and help people build houses.
Yeah.
Right? You might help build a gym. Something to, add to the community of people to give back. And because that's what God is about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting that he used these people gifts to create tabernacle. And I think it's not stated enough. We hear it because we're starting to listen to different people about it, and we're reading it in the Bible. But I don't think it's there's not enough highlighted. A pastor say it all the time. God is giving you a gift, use it.
Right.
But I don't think that message. We don't hear that message enough. We hear it enough.
We don't absorb it.
We don't absorb it and use it. Because we probably hear it. Our pastors probably say it all the time. And you go to church and you just get out of church, but oh, okay. But when you start reading the Bible,
yeah,
then you're like, oh, and you're breaking down and you're using study guides and you're researching, and then you're like, oh,
that's what that means.
That's what it is. Oh, I'm not the only one going through this. Oh, he struggled like this too.
Yeah.
This is what I'm getting, and this is why we want you to go through this journey to read the Bible with us. But that's what struck out with me is God used people's skills to help them, develop the tabernacle.
Embroiderers. Well, I'm gonna say perfume makers, but there were these people that made the spices. Yeah, people working with acacia wood. And one thing that I had asked you was kind of one of those things that, it doesn't say anything about this, but we kind of wonder to ourselves, like, did they know they were really good at that? Did they think, oh, this is a lot of work? Can I actually pull this off? Or did they just do it?
Yeah. Because that's a thing on its own. Just doing it. Am I good enough?
Am I good enough? Am I a good enough embroiderer to make the curtains for the tabernacle?
Moses questioned it.
Yeah.
Am I good enough to speak? Now look at him.
Right. Now he got a shiny face.
Now he has a Now he's spending so much time with God, and he's specifically speaking to people. So this just goes to my point of when you have a skill or God gives you, use it, even though sometimes we don't think that we can or we'd even deserve it. And it's God's gift to us
that He wants us to use to serve Him.
And we don't appreciate it. We don't know it. We don't use it. And God's like, it's just sitting right here in front of you. And sometimes here's something deeper, right? We don't appreciate, use it, or know it, and say we're working at a job, but every job you've worked, you use that gift to some capacity, and people always say you're good at it, and you just never know. And then you start reading the Bible and like, oh, I am good at that. And then it might just click, and then God is like, if you read my word, and I'm showing you this, just be obedient. And be patient, and be disciplined, and be consistent. And you learn these skills, and you put me first. You'll be whoever you want to be happy. Because success is determined on what you want, and who you are. Yeah. You will be happy because you're doing God's will, and you're doing a gift. Your gift is your passion that you love to do. So that's what struck out to me.
That's wow. That's pretty profound there.
Yeah. 39 to 40. They had the priestly garments. Moses inspects the tabernacle, and God visits the tabernacle. So the tabernacle is done. We looked up some pictures in the Holman illustrated. And we looked up just some key pieces in the chronological.
Yeah, and I'll pop some pictures up.
Yeah, so it was it's just all the detailed instructions of the tabernacle. God got it done. Everybody, well, not yeah, God got it done.
God got it done. They followed through.
They followed through, and everything is done. And yeah, oh look at that.
Yeah, everything that he said with all the gold rings and all the scarlet fabric and the everything that they said, the veil, the incense altar, the candlestick, the seat,
the priest garments,
the ephod, and that thing we showed that last week.
Yeah,
that thing was fierce.
Yeah. So, what stood out to you in these verses and why? The priestly garments. The tabernacle.
In those particular verses,
God visits the tabernacle.
I think that they got it done, but also there was this one part where they said about how they would travel. The Israelites will travel, but they wouldn't travel if the clouds were over the tabernacle, because that was God's presence, right? So I also I got another one too. Another thing that stuck out to me is that everybody came together, used their gifts and talents, like you said, to put it together. And it was said that this is only basically a place of worship. It's not to be used for secular activity, right? So you can't just, Bobby's birthday party can't be here type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But
because what we've read, it's a high possibility
that they would just
be in their party,
defile the sacred space.
Yeah.
And so God specifically instructed them to create a space where he could come and be amongst them. And they finally were able to follow the directions and do exactly as he said. And God did grace and fill the tabernacle.
Yeah.
And I thought that must have been so amazing to feel that, to witness it, to be a part of that, to know that you contributed to it. I just thought that was really cool. So that's kind of what stood out to me in those last two chapters.
That's what did stood out to me too, was the cloud with God, and how like that is, man, can you imagine you have a tabernacle built and you see a cloud and you know God is there? That's trippy, right? It's just, you're looking like... It is
trippy.
Right? Just think about it nowadays, guys. It's all these people here, and we could, you have the Holy Spirit, so you feel the presence of God. But, can you imagine every time you go to church, there's a cloud? You see a tabernacle, and you just see a cloud and know that God is there. And we can't move. We can't do anything.
We're not going anywhere while God is here. Where else are you going to be? Where else you got to go?
You got to worship him, and that stood out to me the most. Yeah. I was like, that is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, where else you got to be when God is here?
Yeah.
All right, God, I'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
No.
It's just cool that it's just like, you see a cloud, like, oh, that's God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just brings me a feeling of comfort even thinking about it.
Yeah, like, God's here. We make sure everything okay. Well, he can see in and all. So yeah. So all right. Got any shout outs?
I do have this one shout out. So let me just say, next week we're going to get into Leviticus. Ooh. We're going to read Leviticus 1 through 13.
I'm pretty interested in that.
Yeah, Leviticus 1 through 13. So, I don't know anything about Leviticus. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, a pastor has preached on it at some point, but I don't have any, reading Genesis. I have read Genesis before. I read parts of Job. I don't think I've ever read Leviticus. I've jumped around a bit, and I've read other verses and chapters and books, like Proverbs and stuff.
It breaks down the offering, so it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
I do want to know the difference between the sin offering, the burnt offering. There's others. It's 4 types, but it just... I want to know the specific. So I'm glad they.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to read next week.
Yeah.
I definitely have to shout out Miss Damita Jo. If you're not following her on all her platforms, why? What are you doing? You need to follow Miss Damita Jo. I'll put her link down in the description. She does all things. She does a lot of stuff. She talks about reviews. She talks about just points out really good news that's happening. She just gives shout outs to black businesses, and she's really fun to watch. I actually did an episode with her last week.
She looks really closely similar to you.
Wow, I don't know why. So definitely go and follow her. I'll just go ahead and let you know that I did a podcast with her last week, which was really fun. It is rated PG-13. Do not go over there expecting to bring your children with you, because it is not as wholesome as this show is, but it's a lot of fun. If you're an adult and you want to laugh and you want to be in the know about the things that she talks about, you should go ahead and head over there. Another shout out that I'll give is to Holman, and I'll just hold it up, but I'll probably just put a shot in there too when I put this up. This is the Holman Illustrated Bible Dictionary, and it's a pretty thick book, but it's also just very useful, you know, when we're trying to, and then we even just realized earlier that, we can find the pronunciations for stuff in here. So we be struggling, y'all.
I struggle.
We be struggling with some of these names, and so luckily we were like, why are we looking there? So coming to you soon, we'll be pronouncing things more accurately, hopefully. But if not, you'll just have to get over it. But yeah, I like this. I like a lot of the stuff that Holman makes. I think they made that other study Bible we have too. But I like them. So those are my 2 shout outs.
Yep. I'm gonna continue this. I do have a sports page to give a shout out. 4th quarter, and if you want to listen to the sports, have different topics and just a different vibe from a fan's perspective, man, because we have opinions too. It's not mainstream. Faith put the link in the bio. Got a podcast, and if you want to watch it on YouTube, it's on YouTube as well. So that's it, man.
Yeah. Well, as we always like to say, we hope you're on our journey with us of reading the Bible. Don't take our word for it. Go to the source. Read your Bible. So we hope to... Oh, wait. Did we forget to do the question of the week?
We did. Let's do the idol.
Okay, yeah. Yes, that was a great question. Yes. What idols do you think are taken modern day? When they talk about taking idols, and how we know the story of what we just talked about, of them idolizing a golden bull. They actually built a golden bull so that they could worship it. Weird. But what do you think are some of the modern day idols that people sort of worship or idolatrize? I don't know the word. Idolize. Right? Yes. What are some of the modern day idols? That's the question of the week. We are so looking forward to hearing your responses. You can respond in the comments. You can go over to our Facebook page and respond there. You can respond on Instagram, however you want to. And so we're just looking forward to hearing from you guys. Hope you're reading along with us. And we want y'all to be blessed. Thank you for listening to another episode of Is It Crazy or Is It God?
Yep, there it is. I love it.
So we're having a lot of fun with this. And we're really just trying to break down the sort of narrative that reading the Bible is not fun, because it is. It doesn't really take that much time. It takes some time, don't get me wrong. But it's probably, like an hour and a half, 2 hours a week?
Yeah.
Right?
20 minutes every day, guys.
Yeah, 20 minutes a day, 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah. And you could get through the Bible, and I think we'll probably get through it in like a year, maybe a year and some change.
And if not,
and we're just reading it for the first time.
Just reading it the first time. I think it'll probably do it every year. I think it'll be good. Because I just have a feeling we're just going to keep finding stuff.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
So, all right, guys.
Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Peace.